You know what? I'm done. I need to take a break. This is just... Nope, I'm done. What you just heard were the lamentations of a broken man who spent 30 hours fighting a boss, only to be greeted by the cold embrace of failure. But how did we get here? Well, it all started a couple of months ago. After beating the prequel, 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 solo, I decided to do the same thing with the sequel. But this time, instead of doing it with the main character Surf, I went with someone else. Without going into too much spoilers, 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 2 messes a lot with the characters that are available throughout the game. This makes it impossible to only use Surf. But you see, there is one character that's consistently available for the entirety of the run, and he just so happens to be my favorite character in this duology, my boy Gil. So in order to make this an actual solo, and also make this run more challenging, on the 23rd of October 2023, I started my journey on hard mode, thinking that I would be able to triumph just like I did many times in the past. How naive I was. Without realizing it, I had accumulated a lot of bad karma, and the funny thing about karma is that it goes round and round, and in the end, it comes back to bite you. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, I need to tell you how I got in this predicament, and in order to do that, we need to rewind the clock, back to the very beginning of this story. After the events of DDS1, we managed to escape from the junkyard to reach Nirvana, the tax-free world we were seeking. But upon arriving, we quickly realized that the paradise we were looking for wasn't exactly what we were told it would be. In this world, people are hunted by debt collectors from an organization called the Society. And if they refuse to pay their taxes, they will be devoured. I should have known better. The truth is that there are only 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and pain. That last one. I don't know why, but when I think about the word pain, I get this feeling that something terrible is going to happen to me. No matter. Time to move on.
Mr. Personality here is Gale.
Society?
Yep, that's right. This pretty much confirms that in DDS2, we do live in the society. This is where we meet Fred, a kid who claims that a certain man called Roland might be able to help us. Man, this kid has great fashion. Okay, time to explore the tutorial dungeon, the occupied sector. After grabbing some items, I go outside and then I can challenge the society soldiers. During this tutorial battle, the game forces Surf and Ardula to be deployed on the field. No need to worry though, because I can simply click withdraw to get them out of here. I've heard that the tutorial segment of this game was very difficult during challenge runs, but surely it can't be that bad, right? This is the dumbest fight ever. I hope you guys get used to this death screen, cause you're gonna see that a lot.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
Oh my god! I take it back. This is a nightmare. The occupied sector is easily the hardest tutorial segment I've ever had the displeasure of going through. The first battle you have to survive is against 2 Andras, and on hard mode, these guys hit ridiculously hard, and they are also extremely tanky. Now, I know what you are thinking. Deus, why don't you just grind? See, I would do it if I could, but here's the thing. Random encounters in this dungeon are turned off until you reach a certain point, so I must somehow win this fight at level 1. To defeat the 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 gang squad, I have to use Gale's physical skills, and what sucks about this is that they cost HP. And to make matters worse, Gale doesn't have any healing spells like Dia, and I only have 3 healing items, so if I run out, it's game over. Also, there are no shops in this area, so right now I can't get more rations, even if I wanted to. After dying over and over for hours, I eventually thought about a way to make things easier, and it has to do with the prequel. If you have the clear data from 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 1, you can get various in-game bonuses. One of those is the ability to select the difficulty of the game between normal and hard. But that's not all. You can also get bonus points added to your character stats. And now, thanks to my increased stats, Gale should be able to... Wait. I don't have bonus points? What? Yeah, what I didn't know about the bonus points from the cleared game data is that they are tied to the mantra grade completion of a character. For my DDS1 solo, Surf learned a ton of mantras, and that's why his current stats are higher than the base stats he normally has when you start a new game. But because I never used Gale in that run, he never learned a single mantra, and that translates to gaining 0 bonus stats. So basically, I'm being punished for the choices I made in that DDS1 run. We are off to a great start. After trying many strategies to no avail, I decided to put my faith in the one thing that could save me: critical hits. There is no way around it. If I want to survive, I need to crit one of the Andras. If I crit, I get to deal more damage and it grants me a second action that I can use to act again. With this, it only takes 3 hits to defeat a 𝙋𝘖𝙄𝙉, but it's more complicated than that. Not only do I need to crit, I also have to pray that the Andras will waste their turn by going for 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 and basic attacks, which doesn't happen often. And even when I do get the crit, all it takes is 1 HP thief to undo all my progress. If they decide to go for the double HP thief wombo combo, there is nothing I can do. It took 20 tries, but eventually, I finally got the attempt I was looking for. Ooh! Oh, a critical hit, finally! Please, be good, please. Please! Please, 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 please! He's almost dead, yes! Come on, come on, come on, come on, no. Oh, do I heal myself? Or do I attack here? Oh, please don't, no. Yes! 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 Yes, I killed one! Dude, how do I win if he keeps spamming HP thief? I can't win! How do I beat this guy? Please, keep no... Please, 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 please. No. Please do not HP thief, please. Yes, yes. Please win, 𝙒𝘼𝙄𝙉. I beg you. Please, please. No, no. Yes, yes, yes. Kill him, 𝙒𝘼𝙄. Kill him. Yes, yes. I beat the tutorial. Oh. With this win under my belt, I just did what anyone would do in my shoes. Go back. Go back. Save the game. Save the game right now. Oh, by the way, while saving at the Karma terminal, I made another fun discovery about this tutorial area. Can I restore? I can't even heal myself because I don't have enough money. Thank you, capitalism. You know, based on a combination of factors like the name of certain locations, we can surmise that the story of this game takes place in the United States of America. And based on what I have seen and heard about the healthcare system there, I think what just happened is oddly fitting. So in that live clip you saw, I said that I beat the tutorial. Well, not quite. Actually, there are more forced encounters we need to go through, like the second one against 2 Zen. Now, surely, this can't be worse than what I...
Oh, shit! Here we go again.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Never mind, this fight is somehow even worse than the previous one, and it's due to one thing. To put it simply,
I need healing.
Since I cannot heal myself at the terminal because I'm broke, there are only 2 ways to recover 𝙒𝘼𝙄𝙉's HP, using items or using Ardula's healing spell called 𝙒𝘖𝑎. That second option is something I considered, but I didn't do it because it would go against the spirit of the run. This meant that I had to use a ration, leaving me with only 1 healing item for the next encounter, and this made the fight even harder. During the previous fight, the enemies could waste their turns by using 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉, and that made the encounter manageable, but for this one, it won't happen because the Zen only have 2 attacking moves, Zan and the basic attack. There is only one way to win this fight. I need to crit one of the Zen, but that's not all. That crit needs to happen specifically on my first body rush. If I don't crit, I die. If I miss a move, I die. If I run out of healing, I die. Beating these silly demons took so many tries, but after much pain and suffering, 𝙒𝘼𝙄 got the crit I was looking for. Oh, I got a crit! Let's go! Okay, I live this. And now I use my last ration. And now I should be able to win. Just 1 hit. You fool! Yup, the one time I got a crit, the Zen also got a crit on me, because of course he did. This nightmare of a fight seriously made me consider bending the rules of my challenge, but whenever that thought crossed my mind, My masochistic brain would go, nah, you asked for it, now you must suffer. This battle almost made me go insane, but after dying 126 times in a row, it finally happened. Gale got the first turn crit, and that allowed me to kill one of the Zen during turn 1. Once that was done, I was able to use my ration and a couple of body rushes to take care of the second one. And yes, you heard that right. I died 126 times to these clowns. For comparison, the highest number of deaths I suffered against a boss in my Nocturne Demonless run was 106 against Black Noir Young Yuki. This is already shaping up to be one of the challenge runs of all time. Anyways, beating these guys allowed me to master the Dragon Mantra, giving me access to Zan, my first magic spell. We aren't done yet with the forced encounters because now I gotta deal with a Kelpie and a Bugaboo. Fortunately for me, these guys are both weak to force, so I can easily get rid of them before things get ugly. With this victory, I am now level 2, and random encounters are finally turned on, so it's time to get stronger. That's easier said than done because the random encounters here can be brutal. It's not always sunny in the occupied sector, but at least on the bright side, there are a couple of free healing spots inside the dungeon to heal the pain away. The enemies can also drop rations, which is greatly appreciated. After reaching level 5, I had to deal with yet another debt collector. The Society soldier starts to fight in human form, but he quickly reveals his Devilman form once enough damage has been dealt. I clearly wasn't ready for that fight, so I decided to hit the gym until I reached level 8 and tried the fight again. The additional levels gave me enough HP to soak up the hits, and that allowed me to blow the stupid scorpion away. It seems like 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 is confused about something. Not sure why though, I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Oh, by the way, if you go inside this building and climb the stairs, you will eventually find the exit leading to the outside world. And that will allow you to gaze at the sun, which is not looking grossly incandescent this time. Wait, it's a black sun! It reminds me of that one boss in Nocturne. You know, the boss whose signature move is called Soul Neck. Ouch! And just because I made that joke, I guarantee you that I'm gonna get comments about how it's not funny, or the, well, actually, this is not how you pronounce that word. Yeah, I know. And to you guys, the future commenters, allow me to provide constructive criticism on your opinion.
My dear boy, your faulty intuition is shit!
Now, as much as the occupied sector is making me regret being alive right now, there is one redeeming thing about it. It's the fact that we get to listen to the absolute banger that is the normal battle theme. I did a bit of grinding and that allowed Gale to reach level 10. Just like in DDS1, hitting this breakpoint unlocks additional skill slots allowing 6 skills to be set. I then decided to challenge more Society soldiers. A decision that I quickly regretted. It starts with 2 jobbers that can be taken care of rather easily, but then you have to defeat a Tarrasque. This nightmarish creature hits hard, resists force, and to make matters worse, is only weak to earth. An element I currently have no way to get. With 2 press turns and his crazy damage output, the giant turtle forced me to heal after every single enemy phase. I was expecting this guy to wall me for a while, but Gale, being the absolute legend that he is, managed to dodge some attacks 3 times, and that gave me enough openings to defeat Master Roshi with a sliver of HP left. And now, only one boss remains between me and the sweet taste of freedom. To prepare for that one, I explored every nook and cranny of this godforsaken place to find useful items like a Soma drop, a medical kit, and 2 Sonic Stones. Alright, it's time to challenge the boss I was talking about, 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 and his gang squad. This fight is really nasty, not so much because of 𝙋𝘼𝙉 himself, but because of his go-go dancers. The big elephant is weak to force, which is great since that's Gale's domain of expertise, but he has a contingency plan. His birds of prey will regularly go for void force to cover that weakness. This means that you have to take down the goons first, a task that proved to be more difficult than I thought it would be. Also, on a side note, I like how proud 𝙋𝘼𝙉 looks when the force shield is up. With how tanky these guys are and how often you are getting hit, finding opportunities to deal damage is quite difficult. And to make matters worse, each bird can use Dia to undo your progress. The Sonic Stones I picked up earlier truly shine in this fight. I can use them at the start of the fight to deal a bit of cheap damage to the 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉, and then I can start targeting them with Body Rush. Thanks to my healing items and a couple of dodges, I was able to land enough attacks to knock out one of the Andras. With just 2 enemies to worry about, surviving becomes a lot easier. I was able to take down the second Pokémon, and then I just had to take care of the elephant. 𝙃𝘼𝙄 has a scripted pattern where he will go for Mind Charge and then use this unique move called Terra Burst. You can tell when that's about to happen because 𝙃𝘼𝙄 will make that very obvious with a text prompt. As long as you are healed, that move shouldn't be an issue. At this point, I have already won. The only way I could lose is if this guy gets a lucky crit. Stop! I hate the crit so much! Yeah, he got a crit on me, because of course he did. Now, I wish this only happened once, but then it happened again. And again. My sodium level was going through the roof, but nevertheless, I kept challenging the trio with the intent of winning. After dying 15 times in a row, I got an attempt where 𝙃𝘖𝙄𝙉 kept dodging moves left and right. That allowed me to take out the go-go dancers and dish out the pain to 𝙃𝘼𝙄. And then, this is what the boss had to say. Haha, hurt me more! The pain is what makes battles worthwhile. You know, I was about to call this guy a freak until I realized that what he said right there? That's literally me. I think I just found my spirit animal. Okay, I just need to avoid the crit. Of course he crit me, I knew it. I knew it, I had to play around the crit. And this is exactly why I healed myself. After the critical hit jump scare, I got back to a good position, and then I was able to win the CBT contest. Die! Good job, Gale. Man, dealing with critical hits was really annoying. I sure hope I won't have to deal with that stupid mechanic ever again. Now that the elephant is gone, it's time to meet the leader of the resistance, Roland. Apparently, he's a member of a group called STARS. So, Roland, can you tell us more about the society?
The society.
Wow, how insightful. Thanks. It's during this scene that the game drops the biggest bombshell on us. It turns out that this entire time, we were living inside the Matrix. Also, when you consider what Roland just told us and the fact that these games are part of a duology, this means that all this time, we truly were the digital devil of this saga.
There it is!
The members of STARS and the Embryon have a common goal, so we decided to form an alliance. Our next objective is to infiltrate the society to rescue Sarah, but before doing that, I decided to explore the city. Thanks to the hacking disk I received, I can finally access mantras. If you play DDS1, actually, what am I kidding? Most of you guys haven't played this game. At least, please release this duology on modern consoles. I beg. So, like I was saying, you will quickly notice that the mantra grid in DDS2 looks quite different from the one in DDS1. Instead of being a skill tree, here you start in the middle and the grid will expand as you get close to the edges. The cool thing about this layout is that it creates shortcuts that you can use to get to a specific skill you want. And you will see that come into play in the near future. I purchased the Devour mantra and then I paid a visit to the shop. This facility got revamped. In DDS2, whenever you purchase or sell something, you earn points. Once you get enough of those, you will rank up. Some items are only accessible at a specific rank, so throughout the run, I will make sure to work on that as well. You know, I just realized that the currency in this game isn't Maca, it's the US dollar. I always thought that Maca was the real currency for these games, but all this time, I was essentially playing with Monopoly money. My reality has been shattered, and I don't think I will ever recover from this. I then purchased some healing items and prepared myself for the next dungeon we will have to go through. The backtracking simulator.
Thank you for coming, Madame Cuvier. As you can see, the procedure is going well.
Jenna, as-tu oublié le premier commandement de notre société? Laisse-moi donc te rafraîchir la mémoire. En ma présence, le français tu parleras.
Is this really necessary, Madame Margot Cuvier?
Let me put it in a language you can understand. No French, no funding. Understood?
Très bien, Madame. Vos désirs sont des ordres.
Ma'am, there you are. I regret to inform you that the Netflix subscription has ended.
Quelle tragédie. Jeune homme, emmenez-moi jusque l'ordinateur principal.
Yes, ma'am. Oui, madame. J'ai compris.
If you ask me, this dungeon is kinda meh and it's mainly due to one thing. Whenever you get stuck, you have to go backwards to do something and then resume moving forward. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of design, but at least getting through this place isn't too difficult. Not too far from the entrance, you will have to get rid of two ghouls. Outside of being a callback to our first tutorial battle in DDS1, winning this fight is pretty useful because it unlocks a new item type, Karma Rings. These rings can be equipped to increase your stats. You see, another cool thing about using my clear data from DDS1 is that it allows me to earn extra Karma Rings tied to some of the optional bosses I defeated in the Surf solo run. If you defeated King Frost back in DDS1, you will get the 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙉 ring, and that one gives you an immunity to ice, which can be useful in some circumstances. Once that was done, I fought random encounters until I mastered my mantra and unlocked the skill Devour. Thanks to that, Vor is finally on the menu, and I can finally do the one thing I enjoyed the most back in DDS1. Rend! Slaughter! Devour your enemies! After that, I made sure to eat plenty to master 2 other mantras. Mastering Protection gave me access to the healing spell Dia, and doing the same thing with Dragon Lord gave me the AoE spell Mazan, as well as Force Boost. This dungeon is our introduction to a new mechanic. While running around on max Solar Phase, there is a high chance that you will start the battle in Berserk mode. In this state, your attack deals a ton of damage and are more likely to crit, but it does come at a price. Your defense is extremely weak and you can't use spells. It's basically a high-risk, high-reward scenario. Winning like this isn't easy, but if you do, you will get a lot of karma, aka EXP. Personally, I'm a big fan of the design for these forms. They all look rad as hell. I got destroyed by random encounters for a bit, and then I managed to reach the next roadblock in my way. 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙐𝙇. This big guy has one thing you really need to watch out for. 100 Fist. Each time he goes for it, the attack gets stronger. It starts off weak, but it quickly deals double damage, then triple, and then quadruple. This turns the fight into a race against time where you need to defeat the boss before his move becomes too powerful. I kept dying because of this move until I realized something. For some reason, I completely forgot that this guy was weak to Earth, so this entire time, I didn't even think about using Terra to exploit that weakness. After making sure that my brain cells were finally functioning properly, I mastered the Earth Shrine mantra to unlock Earth Boost. With this passive, I was able to deal enough damage, and thanks to that, I managed to send 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 back to the Bronze Gates of Tartarus.
Hey guys!
Cielo!
Man, it's great to have Cielo back with us. I wish Hit was also here, but I haven't been able to find him yet. I hope we will be reunited very soon. Before saving Sarah, we gotta go through the third act of this game, Prison Break. This is where we get introduced to a new item type, plants. Plants in DDS2 function similarly to the cells in DDS1, meaning that I can sell them to earn some money. While exploring the place, I stumbled upon Jack Frost. This little guy can randomly show up in dungeons, and once you meet him, you can choose to answer his questions. During each Jack Frost encounter, he will ask you a set of 20 questions, and whenever you answer right, you get a bonus item. One thing that you will quickly notice if you play along with this minigame is that some of the questions are about really obscure trivia. Adil gave you the hacking disk, the frigid shot, and what he else. Oh my god, who even remembers this stuff? Like asking you what's the name of the next boss's attack even though you haven't even met that one yet? Thanks for the spoiler, Jackie. Knowing all the right answers is pretty difficult, but nowadays you can just use a guide for that. Or, if you are like me, you can use the power of save states, the power of Epitaph to peer into the future to know what the correct answers are. Thanks to my future sight, I flawlessly answered all 20 questions. There are 100 in total, and answering them all will give me an interesting item, so I will make sure to do that whenever Jackie shows up. The other thing I wanted to show you has to do with the demon 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙁. These guys also showed up in DDS1, but I never bothered talking about them because in that game, they were only weak to gun, and there was no way for me to defeat them before they would run away. Now in DDS2, these guys have been tweaked. Each 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 encounter has 5 enemies, and each of these guys is weak to one of the 5 elements. But you don't know which one is the correct answer. If you guess wrong, they will just run away, but if you get it right, they will blow themselves up, allowing you to earn a ton of EXP and money. Now, you might be tempted to beat these guys by using an AoE spell, but that doesn't work. And the same is true if you try to cheese them with an almighty attack because, as they put it, winners don't use almighty. The elemental weakness of each 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙁 is randomized at the start of the battle, but it always follows a specific order, so if you manage to hit one, you can deduce what the others are weak to. In my case, instead of engaging with their silly gimmick, I decided to opt for a more practical approach.
That's right, we're gonna cheat.
Thanks to my future sight, I can always tell what the weaknesses are. Because of my limited amount of press turns, I can only defeat 2 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙁 at the moment, but eventually that will change. Beating 2 of them granted me 48k dollar dues, and after obtaining my 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙐𝙇, I decided to meet one of my favorite characters in the game.
Well, hold up. This is the shop. Wherever I set up shop, that's where the shop is. This is serious business. Remember that.
As much as I enjoy his serious business, there is a dark side to Johnny. At first he will entice you with his various wares, but eventually he will tell you about his special product.
I've got some more mystery boxes. You know you want them.
Yep, that's right, he sells loot boxes. In total there are 3 tiers of loot boxes. When you purchase one, you get random items from a specific pool tied to that box. For now I can only purchase the Crimson box. I spent almost all my life savings on these boxes, and I did that for 2 reasons. The first one is that while rolling the gacha, there is a chance that you will obtain the rich ring. With this ring equipped, I will get more money from fights. The second reason is that you can sell the items you obtain from the loot boxes, and that's one of the best ways to increase your shop rank quickly. Doing that for a couple of minutes allowed me to reach rank 3. There is a really powerful ring that you can roll the gacha for once you reach rank 7, so you can expect to see me do this a lot during the run. By the way, when you get the ultra rare prize from the loot boxes, it plays a special sound effect. Oh, I obtained the rich ring. Finally, nice. Yup. Welcome to Digital Gacha Saga 2. The game where you can spend all your dollars on loot boxes just for the chance to get that sweet elusive item you are rolling the gacha for. This game truly was ahead of its time. Selling items gave me a good amount of money, and I used that to purchase a lot of mantras. Before making more progress, I decided to work on my mantras by engaging in the beautiful act of cannibalism. Ah, Hannibal would be proud. Mastering all these mantras allowed me to learn 3 particularly useful skills. Atma bonus, a passive allowing me to get more AP from devouring my enemies, as well as the 2 medium damage spells Zanma and Zionga. Now it's finally time to meet our next enemy, the jailer Kumbanda.
You broke out of the cell, huh? We must have rats.
He has this thing that he does where he starts pelvic thrusting from time to time. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. And now, ladies, gentlemen, and demons, it's time for Kumbanda's wild ride. For this section, you need to talk to the right NPCs hidden in the level while avoiding Kumbanda. As soon as I got to this part, painful memories started coming back to me.
No! No! Ah! Demi-Fiend, dodge! Run away, Demi-Fiend! Wait, he can still move when I'm checking the doors. He's running! He's running! No! Where's the door? Where's the door? Where is it? Run away! Run away! No! Oh, yes! Get me in! Get me in! Oh! 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 He jumped down there.
Run, run! If I catch you, I'm gonna eat you.
Can't surprise. Ooh!
There you are! No more playing around, chums. You're making me very hungry.
Stay away from me, you freak. Come here. Come here, big boy. No! 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 Ah! No! Ah! Ah!
What are you doing over there? You're just gonna run away?
Fast food.
Run! Run! Yes! No! Oh! Let me go! Let me go! Let me go! Let me go! Ah! Ah! Yes! Run! Oh!
The horse is a bit too strong, so instead of challenging him normally, we are gonna use another strategy. Food poisoning. Since this guy loves eating canned meat, we are gonna offer him a nice little gift. While being chased by the boss, I found a rotting corpse of a blob. I threw that thing in the meat grinder and obtained a delicious meal for our esteemed jailer. I then went down the control room and left that can on the table. Now it's time to show you what happens when Kumbanda eats it.
Time to eat me. This isn't.
Need a bathroom? So Kumbanda is weak to elect. I made sure to equip Xiong'A for that reason, but he is also susceptible to being muted. With Makajam, I can force the horse to shut up, and that prevents him from using his most dangerous moves. On a side note, I find this fight hilarious specifically because of the dialogue.
You. This canned meat was yours, wasn't it? As soon as my stomach calms down, I'll... Damn it! I can't concentrate. I can't hold it much longer.
Kumbanda tried really hard to hold it in, but in the end, he was defeated by his raging diarrhea. You know, as much as I like to shit on this guy, I feel a bit bad for him. I've been there before, so I can definitely relate. It's not fun. We managed to break everyone out of the prison, so it's time to go to our next destination, the Society HQ. Exploring the Society HQ means that you get to fight more debt collectors, and this allows me to showcase something. Remember how inside the Matrix humans had no weakness? Well, that too was a lie. In the real world, humans are weak to gun, which is fair. Speaking of humans, for some reason you can't devour them. So eating demons is fine, but eating humans goes too far? Really, game? That's where you draw the line?
Oh, a giant cock.
I got rid of some soldiers and then I went back to the Stars HQ to sell my loot. This allowed me to reach rank 4. Once that was done, I sold the items I obtained from my loot boxes and went back to the tower where I found Jackie. I was able to answer the questions without... So like I was saying, I was able to answer all the questions without failing once. The funny thing is, because I spent so much time in this dungeon, I ended up meeting Jackie multiple times, and this allowed me to answer all 100 questions. My reward for doing that was a set of stat boosting items, as well as a certificate. This item proves that I have graduated from the Jack Frost University, and it has another interesting function that I will explain when the time is right. A bit further, there is a forced encounter against 2 Eligors. If you defeated Metatron back in DDS1, beating these guys will allow you to obtain the Divine Ring. Okay, this should be fairly easy.
Yes, Mudo. Because of course he has Mudo.
So yeah, just like I thought, defeating these clowns was easy enough, so I was able to get my hands on the Divine Ring. A ring allowing me to repel like spell attacks when equipped. With this item in my possession, I looked at all the demons in front of me and proceeded to kill every last one of them. Thanks to that, I learned the magic spells 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 as well as 𝙍. I also found some 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 in here. Defeating 2 of them gave me enough EXP to reach level 20, another important breakpoint because reaching that level increases the amount of skill slots you have from 6 to 8. You know, it's been a while since I've saved. I would love to find a Karma Terminal. Ooh, there is one. Hey, awesome! I just need to open that door and then... This trap right there is vicious, and it's kind of a rite of passage for everyone who has played this game blind. The Titans are really powerful and they can easily overwhelm you if you are unprepared, which is what happened to me. These guys are weak to charm, so to prepare myself for the rematch, I mastered the mantra Kichijo for Marin Karin and Vidya Raja for Allure. My first thought was to try Allure because it's an AoE spell, but Marin Karin ended up being better because it had higher odds of inflicting charm. Charming these guys is hilarious because they end up attacking each other, and because they have Counter-Strike, they also keep countering themselves. Thanks to Marin Karin, I was able to easily take care of the gang squad and their reinforcement. I gotta say, considering how hard I got cheesed by Marin Karin back in DDS1, this is the payback I was looking for, and it feels great. The thing I love about this terminal trap is that the effect it has on you is similar to how you felt the first time you opened the Mimic chest. Now whenever you see a terminal room, you will think twice before going through that door. There are actually more traps like this one, but I'm not gonna show them because I want you to experience that paranoia for yourself.
This is serious business, my friend.
Oh look, Johnny is here. You guys know what this means, right? It's gacha time! I spent a ton of money on loot boxes to fuel my gacha addiction and promptly sold as many items as I could until I finally reached rank 5. Now I'm a bit closer to my goal and I get the right to purchase the white box, an even more expensive type of loot boxes. Okay, I think that's enough prep. Time to face our next foes.
Prepare for trouble!
Make it double.
Meowth! Don't forget me!
Who are they?
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all people within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Jesse!
James.
And Meowth are our names.
Team Rocket, blast off at the speed of light.
Surrender now or prepare to fight.
Meowth! That's right!
So the thing with the Team Rocket fight is that they start in human form, and then once enough damage has been dealt, they will turn into Devilman. You might think that the demon phase is the hardest part of the fight, but no joke, it's when they are still human because that's when these guys have no weakness. And that's not all. On top of having decent coverage thanks to the various items they have at their disposal, these guys can use an attack called the Assault Rod. It deals a lot of damage, and it also has a high chance to paralyze you. This status effect is extremely obnoxious to deal with because physical attacks are guaranteed to crit on a foe that's paralyzed. As soon as they get you with a taser, there is no way around it, you are dead. And if you don't get paralyzed, they can just crit you to death. Ah yes, they managed to crit me, because of course they did. After getting cheesed like that 7 times in a row, I decided to use my attack mirror. This allowed me to repel the taser move and deal a bit of cheap damage to Meowth. I then went for my wild bomb to deal good almighty damage to the entire squad. Fortunately for me, I didn't get tased and the second wild bomb was able to get me out of phase 1. In phase 2, the top priority is taking down JC because she has access to heavy magic spells. She tends to target weaknesses a lot, and this is something that can be abused. With Terasi, I can hit JC and use my second action to cast a leg repel. This ensures that she will take a lot of damage whenever she goes for Ziodyne, and because it's a repelled attack, it completely shuts down the enemy phase. Thanks to this rat and a couple of Terasi, I managed to get JC to defeat herself. From there, it's just a matter of healing and hitting James and Meowth until they go down.
Meowth!
Looks like Team Rocket is blasting off again!
Whoa, what a freak! Sheesh! Where did they find these guys?
Further ahead, I was trying to save my game, but before I got the chance to do so, a Titan destroyed me thanks to a critical hit. Yup, he landed a random crit. Why does this keep happening to me? Why? That aside, I was able to learn the medium healing spell Diorama, and then I took the...
Prepare for trouble! We will turn you into jelly!
Make it double and then you will slide right in my belly.
You guys again?
Meowth! Don't forget me! My stomach is also empty!
Bro, it's been like 5 minutes, why are they back already? This time around, there are no more human form shenanigans, but Team Rocket has a new strategy. When all 3 of them are on the field, they can use the powerful combo move Bolt Rain. Gale has an innate elect weakness, so if this hits, it's over. Unfortunately for Team Rocket, Bolt Rain is an elect attack, and that's extremely convenient for me. This makes the elect repel strat even more potent because it covers both JC's Ziodyne as well as the Bolt Rain combo. That being said, this encounter was a bit scary because Jessie didn't follow the script. She went for a basic attack which scared me a little bit, but eventually she wasn't able to control her urge to hit my weakness, and it led to her downfall. James hits a lot harder this time around, especially with the support provided by Meowth. I flirted with death many times throughout the fight, but my boy Gale always managed to come through, and thanks to that, I managed to see Team Rocket blasting off for the second time. By the way, while exploring the tower, I found this Jack Frost plush on the bed. Look at this pose. Now this right here is a mood. There are a bunch of cute dolls like this one in various parts of the HQ, and now I kinda want my own one. The next boss fight is one that worried me a lot, so to prepare for this encounter, I decided to get the heavy ice spell 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙗, and this is where the new mantra grid truly shines. If this was DDS1, I would have been forced to learn the Ice Wolf mantra in order to unlock Ice Master, which has the skill I want. But in DDS2, mastering the mantras 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 and Vidyaraja created a shortcut leading straight to the Ice Master mantra. Thanks to that, I was able to purchase the mantra, and then I mastered the thing to learn 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁 as well as the passive Ice Amp. Just like in DDS1, this skill stacks with Ice Boost, allowing me to increase my ice damage even further. Okay, so Sarah should be in... Wait, she's not here?
What in the hell was that? We'll tear you apart, you fat freak! Devour her. Eat.
Man, this guy is ruthless. I love him.
We're taking Sarah to Nirvana. So get your snobby bitch ass out of the way!
Hey, Heat, my boy! I'm so happy to see you.
I've made my choice!
Heat, don't be silly. It's me, your comrade. You remember me, right? Right?
Prepare yourself. This time, we're not playing games. Do you hear me, Surf?
It pains me to say this, but Heat has turned against us and is working with the French lady. She's here to remind you that we can't have a Shin Megami Tensei game without someone screaming the word order at least once.
Order.
Ah, merci Atlus. J'avais presque oublié ce détail. For some reason, Heat has a big hate boner for Surf, which is why the game forces him to be on the field. It's not really a problem though, because I can just get him out of here. Once you take care of the jobbers, you will have to deal with Heat and his pets. What makes this fight tricky is that the cats will normally spam Ice Drain, making it impossible to hit a weakness. This gave me a lot of trouble during my first playthrough, but this time I have a plan. With Ice Boost and Ice Amp, 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁 hits so hard that I'm able to two-shot the cats, allowing me to get rid of them fairly quickly. Now that Heat is the only one left, I literally cannot look. Whoa boy, never mind! He just got a crit at the perfect moment because of course he did! This was mildly annoying, but just like last time, I was able to quickly get rid of the pussycats. To make sure that I wouldn't get cheesed by a random ass crit, I used my last attack mirror to repel his upcoming attack. Thanks to that and a couple of 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁𝙁s, I was able to deal enough damage to force him to retreat. I tried to leave the place, but apparently the chief tech officer of the society wants to meet me. This is when it becomes apparent that there are two factions within the society. A fact that's highlighted by the color visible on the soldiers. On your way to meet the chief, you will find soldiers from the red faction during random encounters, but they won't fight you because they have been ordered not to do that. This is yet again an instance where gameplay and story are connected in this duology, and it pleases me greatly.
Looks like we meet again. Warriors of Purgatory.
Angel!
Take the gyroplane on the roof to the lab. You will find Sarah there.
Why? Why do you help us?
I'm here to remind you that you're playing a real Shin Megami Tensei game.
Hey, what you laughing at?
How does it go again? Ah yes, blah 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 chaos. Herder, only the strong deserve to live.
After reminding us that we were playing a real Shin Megami Tensei game, we used Angel's gyroplane to escape. And we got shot immediately. Wow, thanks Angel. Welp, at least we got closer to our next destination.
Director, you're under arrest for treason.
Took you long enough to notice. Glory to Umbrella.
I like how we just got done listening to the Order and Chaos Manifesto, and then Roland says this. I don't want extreme order or extreme chaos. I prefer walking the middle ground. Commander Gore would be proud. This facility is called the EGG, and I'm sure it stands for something important, but honestly, I'm just gonna call it the Egg. This dungeon is pretty fun to explore. You will often find locked doors, and the way to unlock those changes as you go deeper. Eventually, you will enter inside a research lab, and interrogating the scientists in here will reveal that this place was used by Angel's faction, Umbrella. Apparently, this is where they developed the D virus. Also, there is this weird creature that's referred to as T00 in the files. Not sure what that's about, but I have a bad feeling about this. I took care of a bunch of mantras like Twilight, which gave me 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁, and Curse to learn 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉, as well as Enervate, a debuff that drops physical attack by 2 stages. Speaking of buffs and debuffs, in this game they have been tweaked. In DDS1, the max level of a buff or debuff was 4. In DDS2, it's been reduced to 3. And honestly, it feels more appropriate for these games where you only have 3 units on the field. Oh look, it's James, but where are JC and Meowth?
They're right here. Can't you tell? In this world, it's eat or be eaten. I did this for the society. I know my comrades would agree.
See, I was thinking about inserting a Vor joke in here, but never mind. At this point, the jokes are writing themselves. In any case, the time has come to get rid of this filthy degenerate, and I can only think of one quote that's appropriate for this situation. In the words of Buffmeister, roses are red, violets are blue.
Cielo is far greater than you.
So for this fight, we must defeat James's Devilman form, Abaddon. When playing normally, this fight is actually quite challenging because of Abaddon's gimmick. At some point, the big fella will go "it's rumble time" and start rumbling all over one of your comrades. He will then use Bellow, which allows him to switch his moveset and affinities. In total, he has 2 modes he can go into, Magic or Support. And as you will quickly realize while fighting, each mode is tied to one of the Team Rocket members he devoured. If you fail to deal enough damage, Abaddon will use his powerful almighty move called Noxious Cloud, and then he will go for Regurgitate to bring back whoever didn't get digested yet with 1 HP left. But here is the thing, this is how it works when you have party members. It turns out that if you go into the fight solo, Abaddon will never use his gimmick. So in this case, soloing completely trivializes the fight. All I need to do is nuke the blob with enough magic spells, and then I can click Zanma until Abaddon goes down. I don't know about you, but this is giving me some déjà vu. Oh well, with the degenerate taken care of, we can finally rescue Sarah.
Heat!
Okay, Heat, listen. I know you didn't like how I slapped you back in the Spencer mansion, but it was just a prank, bro. That's water under the bridge by now, right? Oh, well, surely things can't get any worse, right?
God's consuming data from the planet itself!
You know what? I will just shut up. It looks like God has started downloading the data of the Earth. And I'm not talking about the Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V variety of download. If this one is allowed to continue, everything will be erased. So in order to stop the data transfer, we are gonna create a power outage in the one location where it will matter the most, the Silicon Valley.
Mon ange, pourquoi m'as-tu trahi?
Because you're French.
Please, please, I beg you, don't shoot.
Let me put it in a language that you can understand. Viva la Revolution.
If you go back to Stars right now, you will find a Pyro Jack there. You can talk to the little guy to purchase an item called the Impel Stone. It's a bit expensive and you can only hold one of these at a time, but trust me, it's really powerful and you will soon see why I wanted to get it. Exploring this place proved to be a lot harder than the previous dungeons. Every enemy seems to have the perfect attack to exploit Gale's weakness, and when they aren't doing that, they are landing critical hits instead. It was quite tough, but I was able to harness the power of the Bolt Master mantra to learn the heavy elect spell Ziodyne. And then I prepared myself for the many roadblocks I would be facing. This place kinda stands out because most of the bosses you fight in here aren't demons or humans. It's Windows antivirus system. It starts with laser cannons, machine guns, and then to open the final door, it's a mix of both. That last fight in particular is a pain in the ass. Between the repeated gunshots and the revert pulse spam to put you back in human form, things can take a turn for the worse pretty quickly. And that's not all, because eventually the gate will enter in genocide mode and dish out a lot of damage with its flare cannon. Investing in buffs and debuffs proved to be the right call because that allowed me to survive. And then my elect boosted Ziodynes allowed me to turn off the firewall.
What's taking so long?
The agents of STARS are smarter than we thought. I'm sorry. We are unable to fight effectively against this amount of plot armor.
The Special Tactic and Rescue Service. Clever. Very well. Release the tyrant T-00.
You'd seriously consider that?
Yes. With that bioweapon, our victory is assured.
Ma'am!
If you thought we were done with the boss fight, nope, think again because there is one last encounter we have to get through. If you manage to get past the Triple Naga squad, you will have to defeat the mobster Raja Naga and his 2 goons. I tried the fight many times, but it became pretty apparent that it wouldn't work because of the Ziodyne spam. To solve this problem, I had to learn the Elect Resist passive to cover Gil's weakness. That's when I decided to roam the corridors of the Silicon Valley in search of the 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁. I spent what felt like an eternity running around like a headless chicken. It wasn't the most entertaining experience, but it worked. I found the 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁, and this allows me to showcase the Impel Stone. This item allows you to gain 4 blinking press turn icons. Thanks to all these press turns, I was finally able to hit all the 5 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁 with the right elemental spell, allowing me to gain a ton of karma and money. With my newly acquired fortune, I went back to the beginning of the dungeon to meet an old friend.
This is the shop. Wherever I set up shop, that's where the shop is. Got it? This is serious business. Remember that.
Without any kind of barrier standing in my way, I went on a big buying and selling spree. I did everything I could to please my gacha overlords, and thanks to that I was able to reach the highest shop rank, the Whale rank. It's at that rank that Johnny started selling the Graven image, aka the infinitely reusable diorama in item form. This thing is just as good in DDS2 as it was in DDS1, so I bought it ASAP after it became available. With the rest of the money, I got myself the Bolt God mantra, and then I started working on the mantra grind. This was a really slow process, but eventually my perseverance was rewarded. I devoured the Yakshini, and that allowed me to unlock the Elect Resist passive. Having this skill equipped made a big difference for the Serpent King boss fight. Once he realized that he couldn't exploit my weakness anymore, Raja Naga decided to do the one thing bosses always do in this duology when they are losing: spamming vanity. The stupid ailment he gave me made the fight last longer, but in the end, I was able to avoid joining the Serpent King as family. Okay, now we just need to turn off the power and, it didn't work.
Fred, do you read me?
Roland?
Don't give up. There has to be a way. Where are you, Roland?
We're coming!
Don't bother. This thing's a monster. I don't think there's a lot we can do. I have one trick up my sleeve. You need to get out of here. I'll overload the reactor and blow this place sky high.
You can't do that!
Fred. I'm sorry.
Archila. Roland. No.
So, you like electricity? How about you suck down the power?
No. Roland. No. I am not crying. I am not crying. You are crying. I am not. I am not crying. No, not this again.
And just like that, we lost the last member of STARS, as well as a close friend. It's unfortunate, but the show must go on. Gotta make sure that sacrifice wasn't in vain. By the way, Sarah has regained consciousness. It looks like she has a plan, and in order to execute it, we must go to a dungeon we previously explored. It's time to cover the next chapter of our journey. Before going back to dungeon exploring, there is something I wanna show you. Since I've just reached the whale rank, I can finally purchase the most expensive tier of loot boxes, the golden box. I spent 30 minutes soft resetting this minigame, but it was really worth it because I ended up getting the one item I wanted to grab ever since I started this run, the variable ring. The way this one works is that at the start of every player phase, it randomizes the number of turn icons you have. With this ring, there are 3 possible outcomes. I get nothing, so I keep a full press turn, I get a blinking press turn icon, aka a half turn, or I can obtain 2 full press turn icons. This is absolutely insane for a solo run because at worst, I only have 1 action I can perform if the press turn icon is blinking, and at best, with 2 full press turns, I can act twice or 4 times if I hit a weakness. This ring is absolutely goated and I will be wearing it until I find something better. Now, you remember how the egg used to look like, right? Well, this is how it looks on your second visit. The properly lit areas we went through are no more. What remains are pitch black corridors. I love how this simple change creates such a big contrast in how you approach this dungeon from the very beginning of your second visit. As I went through this place, instead of my usual attitude, a feeling of dread and anxiety started swelling inside me slowly but surely. And we aren't done yet because it gets even better once you manage to reach the elevator. This is without a doubt one of the best dungeons I've ever seen in this series in terms of music and atmosphere. God's data has been leaking, and it turned what was once a sanitized and clean area into a nightmarish hellscape. As you progress through the area, you will find mangled remnants from researchers and demons. The game decided to plunge knee-deep into its horror aesthetic, and I love that. Also, during the intro cutscene for this dungeon, Cielo asks Gale the one thing we were all thinking about this entire time.
You see that as an opening for negotiation.
Hey, what happened to I do not comprehend, eh, brother? I kinda miss it.
Some things must be felt, not comprehended.
It took my man a while, but he finally managed to comprehend. Now this is what I call character development. I love this game. As far as dungeon exploration goes, this place features a certified staple of the Shin Megami Tensei series, teleporter shenanigans. I swear to God, teleporting dungeons are to SMT what poison swamps are to the Souls series. I usually find these types of dungeons annoying to explore, but honestly, this one was quite fun. While getting sent all over the place, I defeated the apes who were holding the Dragon Ring, the ring you obtain for having defeated Wang Long Gaming back in DDS1. This ring decreases the damage of almighty attacks, which is something that you rarely ever see in this series. I also took the time to learn the passive skill Null Panic, which will come in handy for the next boss fight. Another very good example of environmental storytelling in this dungeon has to do with sound design. From the very beginning of the dungeon, you can hear what sounds like a faint screech. And as you go deeper, it gets louder and louder. This will keep happening until you finally reach the door where sad, bitter crying can be heard from the other side.
Well, 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 look who's back.
Heat.
See, I told you, Sarah, Surf wasn't strong enough. I, alone, can protect you.
I'm sorry, Heat. I know that I've made you suffer. Devour me if that's what you really want. But please, allow me to talk to God first.
Are you serious? First, you betrayed me with Surf, and now you want to cheat on me with God?
You don't understand.
Talk to me!
Uh-uh.
Oh, for fuck's sake, we're not doing this again!
Looks like Heat is still bitter about being friend-zoned, so we have to talk some sense into him, just the way he likes it. This is hands down the coolest fight in DDS, and it's accompanied by what I would consider to be the best boss theme in the entire game. You know, the first time I heard this track was before ever playing this game. When I listened to it over on YouTube, I liked the song because it was a certified Shoji Meguro banger. It was also because of that one part that uses a similar melody to the main battle theme from DDS1 and remixed it. But when I finally listened to it during this fight, it took on a different meaning. The joy I used to feel turned into melancholy. It was no longer just an amazing piece of music. It became a sad reminder that I had to slay the friend I spent so much time with in the first part of this duology. It's honestly impressive how the same track can take on different meanings based on the context. Now, if you are wondering what this fight is like, oh boy, this one is really difficult for so many reasons. Heat gets 4 press turn icons. This alone makes surviving the non-stop barrage of attacks extremely tough, but wait, it gets better. The main body is weak to a leg, but you cannot damage it directly as long as the tentacles are still around. And even if you manage to destroy the tentacles, if you take too long, they will eventually come back. But you also gotta make sure you don't forget about the main body because Heat can use a terrifying move called Jelly Torrent, a heavy ice attack with a decent chance to inflict freeze. And if you ever get frozen by that move, Heat's smart AI will make sure to abuse this by spamming physical attacks because they always crit on a frozen foe. On top of everything I just said, you also have to account for the fact that Heat has a various debuffing spell he can use to skew the balance in his favor. It's not looking great so far, but don't worry because I have got a plan. In order to deal with Jelly Torrent, I can equip the He-Ho Ring. That one blocks ice attacks, so if I was a reasonable person, I would be using it, but I am way too greedy to be giving up on the variable ring, so I will just pray that I don't get frozen. Another thing that's important to note has to do with the tentacles. See, if you take them out one at a time, they will respawn quickly, but if you manage to take out both at once, they won't get brought back right away. With all these things in mind, it's time to challenge my former comrade. The beginning of the fight is by far the most draining part because I need to find opportunities to apply buffs and debuffs while getting fisted repeatedly by Heat's gigantic tentacles. He almost managed to kill me by getting a random crit because of course he did, but fortunately for me, Gil was able to dodge the killing blow. The fight then quickly turned into a buff and debug tug of war where Heat's Raccoonja spam forced me to prioritize using Rakukaja over healing myself. This was made even worse by the fact that Heat can use Silent Howl to mute me. I have no way to heal myself and remove a status at the same time, so whenever that happened, I had to prioritize curing the element while clenching my butt cheeks as I watched helplessly Heat landing moves after moves. It's during that encounter that I realized how powerful the variable ring actually was. Being able to act twice whenever Fortune decided to smile upon me was extremely useful for healing myself and buffing my defense. It took me a bunch of turns, but eventually I managed to get the enemies at -4 and my defense at +4. With Elect Amp and Boost, I can deal enough damage to each tentacle and then I use a Wild Bomb to destroy both at the same time. Once the tentacles are gone, Heat will start using Inferno Roar. Normally this move would hit me pretty hard, but with all the precautions I've taken, surviving it becomes possible. Right after using that attack, you will go for Sonic Wave to inflict an annoying status effect, and that's exactly why I made sure to learn Null Panic. With the tentacles gone, it was finally time to deal damage. I was able to heal myself and relentlessly land magic spell after magic spell until my 7th Zeodine sent Heat back to the friend zone, where he rightfully belonged. Right after this, we discovered that Surf actually didn't die. He just got transported into the Spider-Verse, and in order to get back to his timeline, he must defeat the other 2 versions of himself, Surf Noir and Surf Blanco. You know that Spider-Man meme where they are all pointing fingers at each other? Yeah, this is exactly what's happening here. So for this fight, you get to team up with a version of our fellow comrade who is from a different timeline. Based Heat. Now, as I'm sure you might have noticed, Gale is nowhere to be found. Unfortunately, this is the one battle where we can't use him. So if you were wondering if the entire game could be done solo with Gale, well, the answer is no. But between you and me, this battle is actually not a canon event, so I will just pretend that it never happened. Normally this fight is piece easy, but in the context of this run, it's the complete opposite. Since I never trained Surf throughout the run, he is still at level 1 and extremely underleveled. This means that Based Heat has to solo both imposters, and man is it rough. With Black Impulse as well as White Impulse, Noir and Blanco are dealing too much damage, forcing me to heal very often. At first I tried using Power Charge and various physical attacks to deal damage, but I quickly realized that this was a stupid idea because physical attacks cost HP. So by just using them, I was making their job easier. I couldn't figure out a way to tackle this battle, and that led to my defeat at the hands of the crewmates. This officially makes me the first person who managed to somehow lose this fight. I'm not sure how I should feel about this. By the way, there is no saving point between the Among Us match and Heat, so whenever you lose, you have to redo that fight again. Solving this puzzle proved to be tricky, but at some point, my brain cells actually started working and I noticed something. You see, both crewmates follow a similar pattern. They alternate between using basic attacks and their impulses. And during this rematch, both of them ended up following the same pattern at the same time. This is great because it means that I can attack during the basic attack turn since I won't take too much damage, and then for the following one I can just heal myself to tank the Yin and Yang blasts. Fortunately for me, Based Heat has the magic spell 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉, so I can consistently deal good damage without putting myself in danger. Thanks to this strat, I was able to incinerate Blanco, and then after bringing Noir into the red, I decided to style on that loser by going for Power Charge and cleaving his skull. You know, using this guy made me realize that my boy is packing heat down there, cause man, that's one hell of a cake. I can't believe I just said this. Honestly, it's very fitting for someone like Heat because my man is more of a bottom enjoyer than a top fan. And for you guys who might not believe me on this, here is what Heat has a chance to say in DDS1 when he enters a battle.
Come on, your ass is mine. I want that booty.
And just like that, we are back in our timeline. Initially, I thought that the Heat in our timeline was just bitter, but I was mistaken. In reality, he wanted to push us to our limit, to make sure we would be capable of completing our mission. I wish things didn't turn out this way, but regardless, thank you for your service, comrade. Thanks to the final training session Heat gave us, we are ready to tackle the next obstacle in our way. While I could head straight to the next dungeon, I decided to go back to the egg again. There is a researcher from the society here who is tied to a special side quest you can do, but the dude doesn't want to tell you anything about it. In order to learn the truth, Gale jumps in and decides to do what I can only describe as a cross-examination of the researcher.
We will now hold a hearing according to the rules of the mantra. I call upon the defendant. Step into the arena.
What is your objective here?
Nothing. I just stopped by. Really, that's all. I don't know anything.
If you are trying to protect yourself, there is no point.
What?
The world ends in the morning. If you are hiding something, now is the time to spit it out.
I didn't have any choice. It was an order. I didn't want to do it.
Your logic is contradictory. You claim to have just stopped by, but then you said... You said that your orders brought you here. Did you not?
Sure, I came here because the director ordered it, but I was told to wait here. It doesn't change the fact that I don't know anything.
The researchers inside are your friends, are they not? Why won't you help them?
Psh, no way. Once you get like that, you're not human anymore. My friends are dead.
Wait. There is a flaw in your story. You were ordered to wait here and claim not to know what happened inside, but in fact... Do you realize that you essentially told us you had gone inside the egg? Otherwise, how would you know what had happened to those inside? Very careless.
This is nonsense! I want to speak to my lawyer!
I have, reached a verdict. I hereby declare you...
Shit! I give up. Fine. There is something you should know.
After getting through the Ace Attorney segment, the researcher will tell you that he has released the angels. These are the optional bosses that we can take care of, and it's time to get started on our little angelic quest line. The first angel is Uriel, who resides inside the egg. I can easily exploit his ice weakness by spamming Bufudyne, so this should be fairly easy. He has an Elec move. With that new knowledge in mind, I equipped my Elec Resists passive, and then I was able to freely click Bufudyne to give Uriel the cold shoulder. The next one is Raphael, who is currently enjoying some canned meat inside the prison. His Venom Fang poisoned me, and initially I thought that it would be fine to attack, but then... yeah, I just learned that poison can actually kill you in this game. The more you know. Raphael is a force spammer, and that's extremely convenient because Gil naturally resists that element. With a little bit of debuffing and many Zeodynes, the poor fella just got zapped. Now I just need to take care of the last member of the Nocturne Angel trio, Gabrielle. Gabby is by far the worst member of the trio for two reasons. The first one is that she spams annoying ailments all day every day, and the second one is...
Of course she pulls out the Mamudoon and kills me.
After getting cheated by Mamudoon time and time again, I remember that I had unlocked the passive Death Resist, which cuts in half the proc rate of Mudo type skills. Thanks to the magic buff from 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 and the defense debuff from Taunt, my Zanma were finally dealing decent damage, and that allowed me to blow Gabby away before she got the chance to cheese me once more. There is still one last angel encounter that I gotta take care of, but I really need to prepare accordingly to deal with that one, so it's time to start working on that. Thanks to the flowers I sold after getting rid of Gabby, I was able to get $400k Dollary dues, and that allowed me to purchase the Overlord mantra. I then went back inside the egg because that place has a field hunt spot that I can use to grind mantras. Now I know what you're thinking. Deus, that's not Gil I'm seeing over here, that's Serve. I thought you were doing a solo run. Shut up. Once I got to this place, I was finally able to rend, slaughter, devour your enemies. With this, I was able to quickly master Overlord to get the physical resist passive to decrease the damage taken from physical attacks by 50%. And then I stumbled upon some 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 twice in a row. By tapping into my clearly also legitimate power of prediction, I got rid of these encounters, and as a result, I ended up getting $800k Dollary dues. Thanks to that, I was able to afford more mantras. I learned Zandyne from Sky Wizard, Mind Charge from Dark Leader, and then I also got one of the best offensive skills in the game, Last Word Gaming. This absolutely amazing skill served me well in DDS1, and I can't wait to use it in this game as well. After obtaining the skills I wanted, I used all the stat boosting items I had amassed and made my way back to a familiar location, the occupied sector. And it is here that one of the toughest boss fights in the game takes place, the Archangel Gauntlet. In this one, you need to defeat 4 enemies back to back, Uriel, Raphael, Gabrielle, and Michael. The funny thing about this is that I actually managed to win on my first try, but because God hates me, GeForce Experience decided to stop mid-recording, forcing me to redo the fight. And redoing it made me realize how absolutely insane this one actually was. Each foe in this gauntlet has its own unique weakness, except Michael, because he's one of those bosses who has no weakness. So in order to deal with the trio somewhat quickly, I need to equip Bufudyne for Uriel, Zeodyne for Raphael, as well as Zandyne for Gabrielle. And then I also need Last Word Gaming for the head honcho. Since you can only hold 8 skills and 4 of them are pretty much mandatory, it made filling my last 4 slots pretty tricky. In the end, I opted for these skills. Mind Charge to raise the power of my magic attacks, Fizz Resist, Elect Resist, and 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙐𝙇. One thing that makes this gauntlet difficult to go through is that the first 3 angels have very annoying unique moves that they will use after taking a certain amount of damage. Uriel's Judgment deals damage while also decreasing your defense. Raphael's Winged Fury is similar but decreases your accuracy and agility. And then Gabriel's Heavenly Smile has an 80% chance to either charm or panic you. Getting debuffed early is very obnoxious because I haven't learned 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 yet, meaning that I have no way to remove them once they are applied. The solution to this was definitely mastering the Illusion Mantra to learn that skill, but you see, I like making things harder for myself, so I decided that I would beat these guys without using that skill. No, actually it's because I was too lazy to grind. In order to avoid getting debuffed by Uriel and Raphael, I needed to prevent their unique moves from hitting me. And that's when I realized that the wall items were perfect for this. With the fire and wind walls, blocking those annoying moves became possible, so I decided to change my approach. At the start of the fight, I go to +2 defense with 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 while slowly decreasing Uriel's HP. And then, once I've dealt enough damage, I wait for when the variable ring gives me 2 press turns. This allows me to use a combination of Mind Charge and 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙗 to bring the angel low enough, and I go for the firewall. Uriel then goes for Judgment, which gets blocked, allowing me to finish him off during the following turn. For Raphael, I can use a similar strategy with the Wind Wall to protect myself and zap him out of existence. As for Gabi, of course she gets it. Of course she gets me with Mudo. I don't really have room to equip stuff like Null Panic, so I'm completely at the mercy of whatever BS she tries to send my way. Out of all the annoying status attacks she has in her arsenal, the one I really don't want to see ever is Wicked Curse. When you are afflicted by the curse status, whatever damage you deal to the enemy will be dealt back to you, but that's not why it's a problem. See, in DDS2, Curse has been tweaked. When you have that status effect, every Mudo type skill turns into a guaranteed one-shot. This allows Gabi to go for a pretty silly combo where she curses you with Wicked Curse, and then immediately clicks the Mudo button to obliterate you before you get the chance to remove the status effect. The majority of my attempts always died when I reached Gabi because she was always able to find a way to cheese me before I could land the finishing blow. But then, while trying to figure out a way to tackle that fight, I found something pretty interesting about her AI. If you go for a magic mirror to block her offensive moves, she will switch to using Mind Charge and Megiddo to bypass your mirror. This might look like a bad thing, but it's actually amazing for me because she cannot cheese me if she is too busy spamming almighty attacks. So by using magic mirrors at the right time, I can manipulate Gabi's AI, and this makes taking her out a lot easier. And once the 3 Archangels have been defeated, Michael will finally reveal himself. If you recall, at the start of the gauntlet, I said that I went to +2 defense. If you were wondering why I didn't go to +3, it's because of this guy. If you max out any buff or debuff, his AI will go berserk and make your life a living hell, and that's why +2 is the highest I'm allowed to go. This boss is pretty tame for the most part until you drop his HP into the red. When you get to that point, Michael will start using Omnipotent, one of the most oppressive attacks I've ever seen in these games. This attack is a really powerful physical AoE that also applies debilitate whenever it hits you. The fact that this attack debuffs all your stats whenever it lands makes it extremely difficult to deal with. It will make you deal less damage, take more damage, and miss your attacks more often. But wait, there is more! This guy is also one of those bosses who spams Vanity the moment he starts losing. All it takes is one bad status proc in the last phase to undo all the progress I made. While losing to Michael was a bit saddening, I had finally managed to reach him after hours of getting walled by Gabi. Filled with determination, I attempted the fight once more. Uriel got clapped, Raphael got zapped, and Gabi got slapped. Soon after, the Divine Angel came before me, and after giving him a taste of my last word gaming a couple of times, his HP once again dropped in the red. Huh?
Do I die here? Oh my god. The stupid crit. I'm almost there. Please, no BS. Come on. Die! Let's go, Gil! Last word gaming! Yep, I die.
Okay. One more chance. Come on. Last word, gaming! Ah! No joke, this was easily one of the coolest battles in this run. Winning this fight gave me a ton of sorry, I meant dollars. Anyways, I also got the Gospel, the strongest bullet I can get my hands on at the moment. We are done with the optional side quest for the time being, so let's get back to the main story progression. The next location we will be exploring is called the airport. I don't know if it's just me, but I tend to associate the word dungeon with a fantasy setting. So when I see that word used in a more realistic setting, like in our society, I find it pretty funny. Ah yes, guys, after exploring Hell's Kitchen, we are gonna have to make it through the toughest dungeon in the game. The public bathroom. The airport is a pretty lengthy dungeon with very dangerous random encounters, but they shouldn't be too bad to deal with. Like, look at these jobbers for example. What are you gonna do? One-shot me with Modo? As you run around this large area, you will come across 3 boss fights. The first one is against Kali and Dakini. Honestly, I wouldn't even call this a boss fight because I was able to easily clap these two with Bufudine and Last Word Gaming. The second one is against Chernobog, a boss who brings back very painful memories. Fortunately, it doesn't have 4 press turns in this game. Instead, Mushroom Man has another gimmick. This Kingdom Heart boss can commit Sudoku to summon shadow versions of ourselves. After that, he will use Dark Slumber to become intangible. When he's in that state, you cannot attack him directly. You will have to defeat the shadows first. By the way, before using Dark Slumber, Chernobog says, "I shall become a sword and rend. Slaughter! Devour your enemies!" The thing with the Shadow Clone Jutsu is that the copies Chernobog summons can only use attacking moves, and they don't have access to the passive skills you have equipped. With this in mind, I made sure to bring Zeodyne and Elec Resist to the fight. This allows me to nuke the Heartless by exploiting their weakness while protecting my own. Once those two are gone, Chernobog will use Dark Awakening to come back, and that's when you get a couple of turns to hit him before he goes back to summoning the Heartless again. The Mushroom guy prioritizes physical attacks, so having physical resist as well as attack mirrors helps a ton. He ended up summoning the Heartless 3 times, but I was always able to destroy them, and eventually, one last Agilao was more than enough to send Chernobog to the Shadow Realm. With this out of the way, I'm ready to face the third boss of the airport, 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁. This birdman is weak to guns, so for the first time ever since I started this run, you are actually going to see me use Gale's human form unironically. At the start of the fight, I can use the various buffing spells I've learned to max out my buffs, and then I can revert to human form to start dealing damage. Birdman's gimmick is that he can use a move called Vivid Gust to massively raise his evasion, allowing our slippery foe to dodge attacks very often. The effect of Vivid Gust goes away as soon as Birdman gets hit, so one easy way to deal with this is to use attack or magic mirrors because repel attacks are guaranteed to hit. I could have tried that, but since I'm very stingy with my item usage, I decided to keep shooting until my bullets would land. To increase my damage potential, I decided to use a strategy that I learned back in DDS1 from the boss Jatayu. I can use Taunt twice to bring the boss at +3 attack and -3 defense, and then I go for Dekaja to remove the attack buffs, ensuring that 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 gets nothing from that turn. Also, if the boss decides to go for a physical attack, I have a chance to retaliate because I have counter. I decided to try out the skill critical, which doubles the crit rate of basic attacks. I thought that it wouldn't do much, but to my surprise, it actually kinda worked, because Gale, being the absolute giga chat that he is, got 2 crits on 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁, and eventually the Birdman tasted the power of the American rifle. And now we have reached the point of no return. Once we get past this area, it will be impossible to ever go back, so before going any further, I decided to go see a certain someone for moral support.
The shop is wherever I say it is. That's how serious business works. I've been watching you. This is definitely serious business. Now, you might have gotten me a little mixed up with it, but if there's one thing I know how to handle, it's serious business.
Thanks, Johnny. I then proceeded to abuse the field hunt spot in the airport as much as possible to master the various mantras I wanted to obtain before getting to the final dungeon. Deus, wait! Once again you are using Surf, not Gay. Shut up! Thanks to that, I was able to learn useful skills like Agidyne, Terradyne, Dekunda, and Debilitate. After doing everything I needed to do, I said goodbye to Johnny and went forward. Uh-oh, it's Angel. Okay, let's think about a way to fix this. Huh? Gale? Bro, what are you doing? Gale, you moron! Come back here! She's going to stab you! God damn it, Gale. Why are you the way that you are? Well, this is mortifying. I'm sorry, guys. It looks like this is make it over, but for the sake of seeing this through, I'm going to push onward. We owe that much to our fallen comrades. Running through this area after seeing the message Gale left the party was really tough, but after much walking, we finally made it to the plane.
Okay, we have made it. Wait. Cielo, why aren't you inside the... Oh no.
Jeez, leave us alone. Hey, bro!
I know what this means. No! No!
Cielo!
Where'd your pretty face go, huh? Come on, smile! I'll meet you in Nirvana. Ja?
No, Cielo!
You asked for it! Here I come!
Cielo. I am not crying. I am not crying. You are crying.
You know, usually I like being silly in these videos, but if I'm being real with you, this moment really got to me. Out of all the Megaten games I've played up until now, DDS2 is the first one that made me cry profusely. And I'm not ashamed to say it. Even though I had already beaten this game once, and already knew the events that would transpire, as I replayed DDS2 for this challenge run, I still couldn't hold back the tears. During this duology, I spent so much time with these characters, and I grew really attached to all of them. We fought together, laughed together, and experienced pain together. Seeing all these characters I spent so much time with dying one after the other is easily one of the most saddening and soul-crushing experiences I've ever felt while playing these games. After experiencing these cutscenes, I had to take a little break to replenish my energy. It wasn't easy, but we have finally made it to the facility we were looking for. Now we just need to let Sarah talk to God, and that should solve everything. Sorry guys, this entire time I was leading you on. I wanted you to believe that this run was possible, but the truth is, the game was rigged from the start. Since everyone died, we cannot continue any further. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Psych! I was just messing with you. It's not over yet. In a sequence that I can only describe to you as Fly Me to the Sun, Surf and Sarah turn into an albino and manage to reach our final destination. Wait, everyone is back? Huh? Okay, so, while I really love the DDS duology, this is, in my opinion, the worst part of these games. Worse than that one moment in DDS1. You know, the what are you gonna do, stab me? One of the things I dislike the most in any story is when death is made meaningless. DDS2 has been a race against time in order to prevent a doomsday scenario, and in order to complete our mission, many sacrifices needed to be made. Ever since the power plant, I've just been holding back tears as I watch all my favorite characters die one after the other, and then in the final act, you are just gonna bring them all back? Really? To explain what happened to our comrades, the game uses the concept of reincarnation. As Gil puts it, the solar data of the fallen returns to God. The data of all things travels endlessly between here and Earth, in a cycle of reincarnation. The thing is, based on my understanding, reincarnation is the concept that while the body may perish, the soul is eternal, and eventually the soul will be reborn into a flesh body. The problem here is that the explanation I just gave doesn't fit the state our comrades are in after they are brought back. So based on that, I thought that the reincarnation reasoning was faulty, but while doing research, I found something interesting in an article from Hinduism Today. In a segment titled "What is Reincarnation?", the author had this to say: "Life does not end at the death of the physical body. The body dies, but the soul does not. It lives on in the counterpart of the physical body, which is called the astral body. The astral body is made of astral matter and resides in a world not unlike this one called the Devaloka, or second world. In other words, in order to perfect itself, to spiritually unfold and evolve, the soul lives on in another body after death, the astral body. At the right time, according to its karma, it is reborn into a flesh body." Now, I'm no expert on Hinduism by any means, but based on what this article said and what happened in the game, I think this is most likely the answer I was looking for. I'm still not a huge fan of this narrative choice, but honestly, I cannot deny that this is definitely fitting for a duology like Digital Devil Saga, which is filled to the brim with concepts from Hinduism and Buddhism. You can tell that the writers for these games really did their research, and that's something I appreciate. I guess the best word to describe how I feel right now is conflicted. On one hand, it's great to see all these characters, except you, like, bro, what is she doing here? You think you're on the team or something? But on the other hand, they have been brought back shortly after their death, and that kinda cheapens the impact of their big emotional moments. Honestly, I think what Cielo says once you reach the sun perfectly summarizes my thoughts. Man, did you see my awesome death scene? It's kind of embarrassing to see you guys so soon after though. Oh well, it's still good to see everyone again, ja? So, back to the sun. Upon reaching this place, you will get a bunch of rewards based on the choices you've made throughout this duology. Remember back in DDS1 when I decided to help the Maribels without betrayal? Well, if you pick that option, Ardula will inherit Seraph lore from her girlfriend. Also, Gale gets a gift from Lupa, and it's arguably the strongest attack in the entire game. Piri Phlegathon, a mega damage AoE fire move. I gotta say, it's great to see Lupa again. With my rewards in hand, I was about to go forward until I noticed a familiar face.
This is the shop. The shop's wherever I decide it is. Yeah, even if I'm dead, this is serious business. Remember that.
Man, even death couldn't stop Johnny. Once again, thank you for the words of wisdom, serious businessman. So I'm not sure if you guys remember, but back in DDS1, there was this guy, James Mason, who told us to deliver a message to a woman called Amelia. I actually found Amelia during my run and talked to her, but nothing happened. It turns out that there is a specific window where you need to talk to her. You have to do it before your second visit inside the egg. If you don't talk to her before doing that, then she will be gone and you won't be able to complete the side quest. Needless to say, I wasn't able to complete this one. It's not a big deal because this one just gives you a soma, but it's still annoying nonetheless. And now, ladies, gentlemen, and demons, we have finally made it. We are in the endgame, and it's time to explore the longest, hardest, and coolest dungeon in the entire game, the sun. This has to be one of the most unique dungeons I've ever seen in this series. Did you ever think the sun would look like this? Personally, I didn't, and it made for a great surprise. This lengthy dungeon has 6 layers in total, and at the end of each one, a boss will be waiting for you. By the way, there's a little something I want to show you. In the 3rd layer, there is a path that leads to a pretty interesting encounter. Yup, it's Jackie. Remember that Jack Frost I kept seeing throughout the game? Well, he discovered that I kinda cheated at this minigame, so now he wants my head. Usually Jack Frost is a cute demon, but check out what this fella says to you. This line, coming from a Jack Frost, has so much raw energy, it's terrifying. Now I'm sure you might be thinking, Deus, this is just a Jack Frost, why are you scared, bro? Well... If you thought this guy was a plain old Frost, oh boy, you are in for a rude awakening. Let me paint you the picture. Name: Jack Frost the Magnificent. Race: Nether. Pronouns: he/ho. Jackie has an insanely powerful attack called Breath. This is a severe ice move with a guaranteed chance to freeze you. Yes, you heard that right, and it's not even the worst part. As soon as you get frozen, the little fella will use Psycho Rage to grant himself 4 press turns and spam basic attacks until you die. Now, some of you might be thinking that the answer to this is using Void Ice or an Ice Wall to nullify a breath, but wrong! If you do that, Jackie will just go, good strategy. Unfortunately, Megidoleon. Fortunately for me, Jackie is weak to fire, and that allows me to showcase the power of Pyriflegephon. That is what I would love to say, but this slippery little rascal is extremely good at dodging my attacks and finishing me off because I wasn't able to heal myself. While searching for a way to deal with this guy, I decided to try out the he/ho ring since it blocks ice. I didn't think this item would help me, but after equipping it, I noticed something strange. I was expecting him to read my Karma Ring's ice immunity and then go for Megidoleon, but instead of doing that, Jackie was prioritizing Ziodyne. This is huge because I can simply equip Elect Resist to make Ziodyne less of a problem. I don't have to worry about breath anymore, so I can use Debilitate to weaken Jackie, as well as a combination of Mind Charge and Pyriflegephon to deal a ton of damage. Without the ability to use this gimmick, Jackie wasn't able to cheese me anymore, and with Lupa's assistance, Gale managed to send him to the Phlegephon. As a reward for defeating the snowman, we obtained the Magatama, one of the strongest bullets in the game, as well as the Pass Ring. This is a really useful ring when playing normally, but it's not that great for a solo run, so I will just think of it as a trophy. So, back to the sun. One of the big themes of this area is that phantoms from the past are coming back to haunt us. These phantoms I speak of are bosses that we have seen in DDS1. The first one on the list is my boy Harley, who is still looking really delicious today. The giant zebra head couldn't do anything, and in no time I was able to destroy him fairly quickly. After Harley, the next foe is— oh god, no, it's the stupid man-bat again! Really, game? Right off the bat? If you saw the DDS1 video, you know how much this silly clown made me suffer. One of the things that made Bat so annoying to deal with was the fact that his earth weakness could only be exploited when he was on the ground. Ugh, man, I really don't want to fight this— wait! In DDS2, Bat gained a new weakness. He's also weak to Elec. Eat shit, Bat. Past the man-bat lies yet another familiar face, Mick the Fat Freak. I was expecting this fight to turn into a repeat of what happened last time in the Spencer Mansion, but I was mistaken, because Mick learned from his mistakes. This time around, he doesn't hold back against a solo opponent, and he also deals a lot more damage. The slug did manage to get me once, but that loss gave me all the information I needed. With Earth Rebel, I can reflect Rao's Dragon Quake back at him to deal a bit of damage, and to get rid of his remaining press turns. After that, all I need to do is nuke the body with enough Agidyne, and then I can click Zundyne until the head goes down. Once Mig has been defeated, you will be able to access the 5th layer, and this is where dungeon exploration becomes really difficult because the 5th layer prevents you from using your Devilman form. Upon learning this, I did what any sensible person in my place would do. I equipped the passive skill Quick Escape and ran away from every single random encounter on this floor. I'm sure that some of you will call me a coward for this, but listen, as a Xenoblade fan, I'm just following the most important tactic I was taught. Running away is a valid strategy. Let me say it again, running away is a valid strategy. Thanks to the Joy Star's secret technique, I was able to reach the end of the 5th layer, and eventually I came face to face with the last phantom of my past, Varen.
I'm a colonel. Colonel Beck. I've had enough of this bullshit. I'll tear you guys apart. I'm getting the hell out of here.
In this game, Varen doesn't have Hunger Wave anymore, but the catch is that it is a lot harder. Part of why Varen is so difficult to defeat this time is that his HP stat is really bloated. For comparison's sake, Hayagriva had 3k HP, Man-Bat had 4.6k HP, Rahu had in total 7k HP, and then you have Ravana sitting at 11k HP. Like, legit, he has more HP than the boss coming after him. Just like in the prequel, Varen has no weakness, but that's not that big of a deal because I have Last Word Gaming. With Debilitate, Makakaja, and Mind Charge, my damage output went up significantly. The first 6 minutes went pretty well, but then things took a turn for the worse when Varen said,
I am Colonel Beck. Mind, body, Intellect. I am superior to AI in every respect. I'm impervious to physical attacks.
I'm fucking invincible!
Varin, having realized what my strategy was, decided to mimic my every move. After granting himself more Preston icons, he started going for Debilitate, Makagaja, as well as Mind Charge. In this phase, he likes going for Magic Repel a lot, but that's a non-issue because that move cannot repel almighty attacks. This part of the fight is still okay-ish to deal with, but after you finally drop his HP into the red, everything starts falling apart. Sensing that his death is imminent, Varin will upgrade Rage into Psycho Rage, allowing himself to act at least 5 times in a row. As soon as we got there, I wasn't able to keep up and I got destroyed. During the rematch, I managed to once again drop his HP into the red, but soon after, Varin's Psycho Rage usage made the fight a lot harder to deal with. One of the biggest issues I had was the fact that Varin could use Mind Charge to make his follow-up magic attack hit really hard. I wasn't really sure about how I would fix this, until I realized that the answer I was looking for was right in front of me this entire time. Magic Repel. I don't have access to that exact move, but I can achieve the same thing with Magic Mirrors. Whenever Varin goes for Mind Charge on turn 1, he will go for Magic Repel on turn 2, and then a powerful magic attack on turn 3. So as soon as I see him holding his hands up, I can use my Uno reverse card to achieve the same thing. With this strat, I was able to make Varin smack himself in the face over and over, and after sensing that I was about to get the last word, Varin decided to take the matter in his own hands.
I'm fucking invincible! The fuck?
Satisfied by my progress, I went back to the start to meet Johnny and I sold all my plans to get over $2 million dues. I did this specifically because I wanted to get the Mantra Destroyer. Mastering this one gave me access to the powerful physical attacks Godslayer and Ragnarok, as well as the null physical passive. This was the skill I was after, and you will understand why once we get to the next boss. This part of the sun is a teleporting maze, and whenever you step on one of those teleporters, you can gaze at Gale's magnificent face in all its glory. I was forced to stare at it, so now I will force you to watch as well. You have my regards. It took me a while to get out of this place, but eventually, I managed to do it, and I had to face the penultimate boss standing in my way, the Tyrant Meganada. Mechanically speaking, this is one of the most interesting fights in the game. Meganada has 2 different modes he can swap between, physical and magic. He starts the fight in physical mode, which is great because null physical ensures that I don't have to worry about his attacks. I'm glad I made sure to get that skill because if I didn't, then the fight would turn into this. Thanks to that passive, I was able to follow the Megaten flowchart. Unga Bunga buff debuff Mind Charge, and then last word gaming. Once enough damage has been dealt, Meganada will start fighting seriously. He will use a move called Moksha to go to his magic mode and then remove your debuffs with Dekunda. The other gimmick you need to pay attention to is tied to his move called Black Bhakti. Whenever this move is used, Meganada will focus its power and then on the following turn he will be able to unleash a really powerful attack. The attack Meganada goes for after using Black Bhakti is tied to the mode he is in. In physical mode, it's Virage Blade, a powerful physical almighty attack. As for the magic form, it's the severe elect attack Meru Thunder. Out of these two, Meru Thunder is the easiest one to deal with because it's an elect attack, so I can use Elect Drain to avoid taking damage. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that because Meganada is one of those bosses who knows that spamming status attacks is the easiest way to take me down. Every time I managed to get a good attempt, Meganada was able to cheese me with charm and obliterate me. Once again in this duology, I was getting walled by a familiar status effect. Fun times. There was no time to get tilted, so I went through the red door once more to challenge Meganada for round 3. After surviving Virage Blade and landing a powerful blow with Last Word Gaming, Nemesis used Moksha as well as Dekunda. This allowed him to remove my debuffs, but I was able to click Debilitate 3 times in a row to get him back to square one. Gale's relentless usage of almighty attacks tickled Meganada just enough to get him to use Black Bhakti, and for once he finally wasn't able to cheese me with charm. This allowed me to use Elect Drain to get fully healed by Meru Thunder. From that point onward, I had the entire fight under control. With null physical I could avoid the dangerous basic attacks, with Elect Drain I could deal with Meru Thunder, and with the 2 Preston icons I kept getting from the variable ring, I was able to use Mind Charge and Last Word Gaming to deal good damage consistently. In a last-ditch effort to take me out, Meganada tried to spam status attacks as much as possible, but he didn't get lucky this time, and in the end, Gale got the last word.
stars? I'll give you stars.
Be gone, Meganada. Ooh! Finally. Roland and Ardula have finally been avenged. Now there is only one thing left to do. I steeled my resolve, rode the platform, and prepared myself to meet God. Now look at this.
Is this God? Please! Return Earth to normal! I'll take responsibility! I know! People can be cringe. And they probably always will be. But they can also be based! Please! You can't destroy society!
Mankind knew that they could not change society. So instead of reflecting on themselves, they blamed the demons. Children of men, prove society's worth to me. Heaven or hell. Let's rock!
Our final trial is against Brahman, the Choo-Choo Train God. This is, in my opinion, one of the best final bosses in this series from a thematic standpoint. If you have played any RPG, I am sure you have seen the common trope of local man beats up slimes and then ends up killing God. On the surface, you might think that the same is true for Brahman, but it's not. This isn't a story about killing or beating God. You can't do that. It's about humanity seeking atonement for their sins. It's a negotiation where we must prove to God that we are worthy to live, and I find this such a compelling take on the fighting God formula. On top of that, it has one of the sickest boss themes in the entire series. The way Brahman works is that it's a fight divided in 5 phases. As you keep dealing enough damage, you will move from one phase to another. Each form specializes in a specific element. Fire at the start, then Force, Earth, Elec, and lastly Ice. And I gotta say, I really love the phase transition with the dynamic camera movement. They are so cool! With 5 press turns, Brahman is capable of dealing a lot of damage, forcing me to play more defensively and slowing down my progress. Staying alive proved to be difficult, but nevertheless, I kept pushing and managed to defeat phases after phases until I reached the Elec form. Sadly, I wasn't able to get further than that because Brahman decided to reveal one of its most dangerous moves, Eternal Zero. This attack is guaranteed to fully debuff you and fully buff Brahman in every stat. The moment that move came out, my fate was already sealed. I then tried the fight again but couldn't even get through the first phase. The biggest issue I had with the fight was the fact that I was taking too much damage because of Brahman's relentless onslaught. Fortunately for me, there was a pretty easy way to fix this. That solution was a skill that came in clutch in the prequel, Null Element, the passive skill from the Dark Lord mantra which allows you to nullify damage from all 5 elements. Ah, we meet again, old friend. Once I got my hands on that skill, I decided to learn another useful passive, High Counter. Brahman loves going for the almighty physical attack called Light, so with High Counter equipped, I am very likely to retaliate, allowing me to deal damage outside of the player phase. Another thing that I decided to do was tweaking my moveset. While checking what useful skills I could learn on the Megaten wiki, I came across Godslayer, a severe physical attack. Now, what really caught my attention was the fact that this skill apparently had an 80% chance to crit. Eager to try this new toy, I swapped Last Word Gaming, 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 and Mindchild for 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁, 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 and Power Charge. After that, I challenged the God Train again, and this time around, I could definitely feel the difference. Null Element gave me the breathing room I was looking for, and whenever Brahman went for light, it had a high chance of getting hit by my counter. As for 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁, while it dealt good damage, in practice it clearly didn't crit often enough to warrant that 80% chance I read about. With the tools at my disposal, I was able to defeat each form of Brahman until I finally made it to the last one. The fight was going pretty well until I got greedy after finally seeing a 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁 crit and I went for another one. Not only did I miss, but Brahman then went for Eternal Zero and reverted me back to human form. It was pretty scary, but I was able to get back to a good position, and with a final 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁, the train had finally reached the last station. And there you have it! Thanks to Gale's effort, humanity was spared and our dream of creating a tax-free world finally became reality. But we aren't done yet. There is still some unfinished business that I have to take care of, so it's time to challenge the remaining bosses left in the game. Something I kept to myself up until now is that in the room before you fight Meghanada, there are 2 additional red doors, each leading to a boss fight. To get granted an audience with the bosses, you need to obtain a special item from 2 specific enemies, the Nandaka from Simba and the Pinaka from Parvati. The items aren't guaranteed to drop, so I equipped the passive skill Item Find to increase their drop rate, and I kept destroying these goons until both items were finally in my possession. I then mastered the formless mantra to learn the skill Null Ailment, and I challenged my first foe.
I am the Destroyer.
The Hindu god of destruction, Shiva. This boss primarily goes for physical attacks, so initially I tried equipping Null Physical to deal with that. Yeah, no, that's actually a really bad idea because Shiva is one of those bosses who reads your skills, and if he detects that you Null Physical, he will start spamming almighty attacks until you die. Physical Resist doesn't trigger that behavior, so at least I can use that to reduce his damage output. Even with Physical Resist, I was consistently taking more damage than I could recover with the Graven Image, so to fix this, I decided to learn Dhirahan, the single target full heal spell. The thing with Shiva is that his weakness keeps rotating every turn. I'm putting that word in quotation marks because it just means whatever he isn't nullifying at the time. I think you are supposed to care about that, but I really didn't want to waste skill slot for coverage, so I went with Last Word Gaming. That decision ended up making the fight significantly harder because if you hit Shiva with almighty damage, he will respond in kind with an almighty attack of his own. The severe almighty attack, Third Eye. This one has a guaranteed chance to stun, so I made sure to equip Null Ailment to prevent that from happening. As the fight went on, Shiva and I kept attacking each other relentlessly, trading almighty blows one after the other, until the Tandava Enjoyer was defeated, but as you can see, something went wrong with my footage. I'm not sure what caused it to glitch out like that, but I really wasn't satisfied with this, so I had to redo the fight again. And somehow Shiva was even harder this time around. His constant usage of Dekunda to remove my debuffs as well as Debilitate made staying alive a challenge. I came close to dying many times during this rematch, but Gale always managed to tank the hits like a champ, and with a final last word, I was able to win the dance-off. Shiva was the first super boss I really wanted to beat because defeating him allows you to grab the turn ring. This Karma ring permanently adds one more press turn icon, so it's essentially an upgrade of the variable ring. After getting rid of the purple dancing freak, I set my gaze on his neighbor, Vishnu. And this one has a pretty interesting gimmick. Against Shiva, you had to react to him shifting his weaknesses, but for Vishnu, it's the other way around. Now, you remember how Shiva would respond to your almighty spam with almighty spam of his own, right? Well, Vishnu has something similar if you use almighty attacks against him. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. This is Vishnu's multi-target almighty attack, 𝙉𝙉𝙁𝙉𝙁𝙁. If you have a party of 3, this move is actually really dangerous because it has the potential to hit your party 15 times, but here's the thing. That's when you have party members. Against a single target, multi-hit attacks have a limit regarding how often they can hit you. For 𝙉𝙉𝙁𝙁, that limit is 2, meaning that in the context of this Gale solo, this move can either hit me once or twice. This makes face-tanking Vishnu's unique skill doable, so to ensure that the fight would go smoothly, I made sure to equip the passive skill Null Critical. Contrary to what the name implies, this skill doesn't prevent critical hit from happening, it decreases the chance of being critically hit. With that skill and a couple of 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁, surviving Vishnu's attacks became possible. The only downside to this approach is that it forces you to see 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 very often, and I find the incessant flashing light really annoying for the eyes. Vishnu tried really hard to blindside me with his almighty spam, but just like many bosses before him, he too was unable to survive against my last word gaming. You get 2 rewards for defeating this guy. The Aura Ring, which boosts all your stats by +20, and Pandemonium, the strongest bullet in the game. This ring isn't that great, especially when I have the turn ring, but the bullets will come in handy pretty soon. And now it's time to challenge my next foe. Deep within the 5th layer, beyond the golden path where every step saps your HP, you will find the 3rd super boss of this game. The first couple of times I fought Seth, I was level 72. Realizing that this wouldn't cut it, I did a lengthy grinding session to reach the cap of level 99, and I also maxed out all my stats. I was expecting all this prep to at least mean something, but oh my god, nothing! And I really mean it, nothing could have prepared me for the insanity that was this fight.
You are not the one who is to judge. I cannot forgive one of contrary existence.
On top of having one of the highest HP stats in the game, Seth resists every element except for one, gun. This is pretty bad because in case you didn't know, Gil's gun damage sucks. But that's not all. His gun attacks are also RNG because they can either hit once or twice. And most of the time he's only going to land 1 hit, so his damage output is already cut in half. Normally, if I was a sane human being, I would be using Seraph for this fight because they have the strongest gun attack in the game. And just to hammer this point home, let's compare Gil's damage at level 99 to Seraph's damage at level 41. Both equipped with the strongest bullet in the game, Pandemonium. Yup, you are not dreaming, Seraph is still dealing more damage. But why is that the case? To get to the bottom of this, I grinded Seraph to level 99 and gave them 99 strength to see what would happen. And it turns out that your level and strength do not affect your gun damage whatsoever. Outside of buffs and debuffs, the only thing that affects gun damage are your bullets. This alone puts Gil at a big disadvantage for this fight, but wait! It gets worse! This absolute war machine has 3 press turns as well as an extensive moveset. From status effects to AoE spells and powerful physical attacks, Seth has a ton of tools to turn your life into a living hell. Buffs and debuffs are mandatory in order to survive, but you have to be really careful because Seth is guaranteed to cast 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 or 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉 if you max out a buff or a debuff. This forces you to stay in the +2/-2 range, but even when you do that, Seth can just click these moves to put you in a terrible spot. By the way, I just realized something. So you know how near a demon's name you can see their race, right? Well, when you check Seth's race, this is what it says. Wait, you are no ordinary boss. You are...
Death. And I don't mean it metaphorically, or rhetorically, or poetically, or theoretically, or any other fancy way. I'm death. Straight up. What's the matter? Life's flashing before your eyes? Pick it up. Pick it up.
Now, everything I've explained so far makes the fight difficult, but if it was just that, this fight wouldn't be a big deal. What really makes this fight go from very difficult to borderline impossible is one of Seth's unique moves.
Oh! This is so dumb. He gets 1 crit.
Yup, it's called pain. Nothing fancy or grandiose or elaborate. It's just pain. Constant pain. Non-stop pain. So what's the deal with pain? Well, it's a physical almighty attack that deals severe damage with a whopping 40% chance to crit. 40%! What makes critical hits so deadly in this series is that they work similarly to exploiting a weakness. On top of dealing more damage, they allow the unit to act again. So when you factor in how hard pain is already hitting, if it crits, I'm most likely going to die. Because pain is almighty, I have no way to block it. And because it crits extremely often, I can't even stay alive, even with buffs and debuffs applied. By the way, Seth adores spamming this move, so there is no way around it. You will feel its pain. And if you live long enough, you will get to witness Seth's most dangerous AI sequence. The triple pain combo, aka the pain train. And trust me, no amount of painkillers will make that pill easier to swallow. It didn't matter how many times I tried the fight. It didn't matter how close to victory I was getting. The outcome was always the same. Fighting this boss reminded me of all the pain and suffering I previously went through in another challenge run. Once again, I was facing an insanely powerful foe who loved spamming an attack with an absurdly high chance to crit. Losing so many times was starting to affect my morale, but nevertheless, I was determined to see this through, so I kept fighting, and eventually... Oh, he's in the red? He's in the red! He's in the red! For the first time in ages, I had finally managed to drop his HP into the red. This felt great, until I realized what that entailed. No! I'm dead. My god, this is so dumb. Once you get to that stage, Seth becomes almost impossible to deal with because of his new moveset. He will go for Ragnarok to deal damage while decreasing your defense. He will use Debilitate non-stop, and of course, he will still go for Pain. Another dangerous attack he has is called Spiteful Force. Seth can use this attack at any point during the fight, but I waited up until now to mention it because of its unique property. The damage of this attack increases as the HP of the target decreases. At the start of the battle, it's not too dangerous, but as the fight goes on, it's going to deal more and more damage. And the worst part is that this move is undodgeable. But wait, I'm not done yet. On top of all that nonsense, what truly makes the final phase unbearable is based on how often Seth goes for 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁. During the last segment, your only way to survive is if Seth stays at -2 in all his stats. As long as the debuffs remain, survival is possible, but as soon as 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 shows up, it all falls apart. This forces you to reapply the debuffs, and it's something you gotta do on top of everything else that's required, like attacking, healing, and removing your own debuffs. Countless times I managed to get into the last phase, but I was never able to prevail because Seth would find a way to click 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 and crit me with the power of pain. Oh. That's GG. Stop 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁! Stop! Oh man, stop. Do not crit me. Do not crit me. After this devastating loss, I tried various strategies. Since Seth has a gun weakness, my first thought was sticking to human form to abuse it, but that didn't work. In human form you take more damage than in demon form, and you also can't use spells. The extra damage made surviving pain too complicated, and the fight kept spiraling out of control whenever the 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁 and the 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙁 were used. I then tried sticking to demon form, but that also didn't work because Seth's AI is smart. If he detects that you have a weakness, like 𝙃 in my case, then he will purposefully exploit it, making staying alive even more challenging. I was so desperate that I started considering dropping the insanely powerful Turn Ring in favor of something that would help me handle the pain. I tried the Phantom Ring, since it boosts your evasion in human form, but all I got in return was the Phantom Pain.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
I tried the Protect Ring, since it boosts your defense in human form, but that ring wasn't able to protect me from the pain. I tried using the Dragon Ring, because it tones down the damage of almighty attacks, but that did nothing against the critical hits dealt by pain. At that point, I had died 100 times in a row. Things really weren't going my way, but I was still convinced that I could do it. So I attempted the fight once more, and then something crazy happened. Did he just go for pain 5 times in a row there? You know what? I'm done. I need to take a break. This is just... No. Nope, I'm done. Oh, this is dumb. I am so done. God. Why? Throughout this challenge, there were many instances where going solo made boss fights easier. With each victory, my confidence kept growing, and I thought that nothing could stand in my way. How naive I was. Without realizing it, I had accumulated a lot of bad karma. And the funny thing about karma is that it goes round and round, and in the end, it comes back to bite you. Death itself came for me, and it took me this long to finally understand the true meaning of pain. Whenever I fight this boss, it feels like I'm running through a dark corridor, without any light at the end. And with each loss I suffer, it becomes harder to justify pushing through the pain. It was at this moment that I knew that this was something I wouldn't be able to do. I mean, to this day, no one has ever uploaded a successful solo clear of Ceph on YouTube. The only video that exists was uploaded 9 years ago. It is an attempt that ended in failure, and that's with Seraph, a unit that's clearly better than Gale for this fight. If no one else managed to do it with the best character in the game, how could I even dream of achieving it? I really wanted to believe that soloing Ceph with Gale was doable, but I think it's time to call it quits. But you see, it was after reaching rock bottom that I noticed something. Inside that dark tunnel, I could feel the warmth of a gentle flame. It was coming from a familiar face, a brave warrior from the junkyard who told me to become a man of honor. Thinking about him made me realize that I wasn't alone, and that gave me the strength to get up on my feet. With my determination fully rejuvenated, I started carefully looking at what I could do to make the fight less painful. My experimentations with karma rings made me realize that the turn ring was surely the way to go. Having 2 press turn icons was just too good to pass up, especially against a boss such as Ceph. Previously, I was trying to find a solution either in human form or in demon form. Eventually, I realized that this approach was flawed. Each form had its own strengths and weaknesses, so in order to beat Ceph, I was going to need both forms to accept each other and work in harmony. Initially, I was hesitant to fully commit to that approach because swapping between forms costs 1 press turn icon. When you only have 1 press turn, the revert command becomes extremely punishing, but with 2 press turns, it's a lot easier to afford because I can click revert and then act again. I then started thinking about the 8 skills I would bring for the fight. After looking at all my options, I found the 6 skills that I believed were invaluable to defeat Ceph. 3 passives and 3 spells. For the passives, I selected Null Critical, Null Ailment, and Null Physical. Null Critical is a must-have skill. While it doesn't reduce the crit chance of pain down to 0, the effect is still significant enough for it to make that skill worth using. Null Physical is here to make Ceph lose press turns whenever it goes for Gate of Hell in the first phase. As for Null Ailment, it's here specifically to deal with Silent Howl and Vanity. The last thing I need is getting cheesed with a status effect near the end of the fight, so thanks to that skill, I can guarantee that it won't happen. As for the 3 spells I mentioned earlier, they are Debilitate, Rakukaja, and Dekunda. Debilitate and Rakukaja are mandatory to survive, and Dekunda is here specifically to remove the debuff Ceph can apply to me during the last phase. When you consider the fact that 6 of my 8 skills are impossible to remove, this means that I only have 2 skill slots that I can play with. At first I tried a counter strategy with high counter since attacks like Pain and Ragnarok can trigger that passive, but that wasn't ideal. See, the counter strat only really works if I'm able to survive consistently in the last phase, and this is simply impossible to do. To have a shot at winning, I needed to defeat Ceph before he could defeat me. I was thinking about which offensive skill I would use to achieve this, until I realized that I had forgotten something. A skill exclusive to Gale that he got from the one person who gave me the motivation to keep fighting. That skill was none other than Lupa's parting gift, Pyriflegephon. With that figured out, I had finally found the last 2 skills I would be using. Pyriflegephon to deal damage, and Fire Amp to increase its damage by 50%. After hours spent dying and testing everything I could think of, it was finally time to challenge the Shadow of Death once more. One thing that used to bother me was the fact that I couldn't equip Null Element. Without that passive, Ceph was able to exploit my weakness with Maziodyne, and that made staying in demon form risky. This used to be a problem, until I noticed something. You see, Ceph has 3 phases tied to his HP. In phase 1 he can use Maziodyne, but once you reach phase 2, he will stop using that attack. You can tell when you are in phase 2 because instead of using Maziodyne and Blood Curse, Ceph will start using Silent Howl. With that in mind, I found a reliable strategy. At the start of the fight, I use my demon form to cast Debilitate and Rakukaja twice. Once that's done, I revert to human form. Ceph has no way to exploit my weakness in human form, so that allows me to protect myself until I see Silent Howl. Seeing this move proves that I have reached phase 2, so I can revert to my demon form. During this battle, Ceph used Dekaja multiple times to remove my defense buffs. Each time that happened, I had to go from human to demon to reapply them, and back to human again. In order to survive the various phases of this fight, I embraced both of my forms and I kept switching between them depending on what I needed to do. Once I confirmed that we were finally in phase 2, I went back to demon form and started clicking 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁 like my life depended on it. There were many close calls and Seth definitely made me feel the pain, but I never gave up. Lupa and I kept attacking, and eventually, I made it to the last phase. It was then that the real battle finally started.
Oh, it's time. It's time. I don't think I heal here. Come on, Lupa. We did enough damage. Come on, Lupa. Come on. I don't think I die, so I should not need to heal right now. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, I didn't die. Come on. Come on. I just need to survive long enough. I just need to survive. Gale! Let's go, Gale! Let's go! I have to survive. I have to do it. We can do this, Gale. We can do this. I just need to live this turn. Just live, please. Yes. Again. Dodge. You know what? That's fine. Kill him, please. Lupa. Oh my god. This is a bad sign. Bye-bye. Yes! I have to attack. He has to die.
I vow upon my honor.
Honor? What is this honor you speak of?
I can see it in your eyes.
Lupa.
Become a man of honor.
Be you angel or demon, you will surely regret giving me this cursed power!
Yes! Come on. 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙁, come on! Again, please kill him, please! Oh! I dead. Gale! Lupa, Gale! Yes! I did it! Oh, Lupa! Oh, Lupa and Gale, you guys did it. Oh, finally I won.
This was easily one of the achievements I'm the most proud of. You know what's funny though? Whenever you defeat a super boss, you get access to their mantra, allowing you to learn their unique skills. You wanna guess how they called Seth's mantra? Root of Evil. You know, the name of the attack that made my life a living hell in the Nocturne Demonless run? You can't make this up. Also, speaking of mantra, it's only after beating Seth that I realized something. So Shiva's mantra is called Aksara, and mastering it gives you the passive skill Physical Absorb. This passive is clearly better than null physical since it allows me to get healed by physical attacks and end the enemy phase whenever a physical attack is used. It doesn't work against physical almighty attacks like Pain, but equipping this over null physical would have made the fight a bit better. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, we aren't done yet. Beating these 3 bosses granted me the right to face Satan, the enemy that's considered to be one of the hardest bosses in the entire SMT series. Full disclosure, I never fought this guy before, but surely it can't be that bad, right? Well, folks, I'm afraid this is the end of the road. For real this time. This fight is straight up impossible solo for 2 reasons. The first one is called Futility. Immediately at the start of the fight, Satan will use Futility, and this move turns off any resistance, null, repel, or absorb you might have. This prevents me from covering my innate elect weakness, and with 5 press turns as well as the spell 𝙋𝘼𝙄𝙉𝙁, I simply have no way to defend myself from the rampage. Now, one way to fix this would be to use Seraph instead of Gale because their demon form 𝙁𝘼𝙄 has no weakness. But doing that doesn't change anything because of the second issue, God's Breath. Each 4th turn, Satan is scripted to go for God's Breath, an attack that's guaranteed to kill you when used. The only way to prevent this move from ever coming out is to max out all your buffs. If you manage to do that before the 4th turn, Satan will go for the 𝙋𝘖𝙄 instead of his nuke. Unfortunately, this is impossible to do solo. Each buff needs to be used 3 times to get maxed out, and you need to do that for all 4 of them. This means that maxing out all these buffs would take you in total 12 actions. With the turn ring, you get 2 actions per turn, but that's still not enough because you only have 3 turns to cast all these buffs. So with the turn ring, the maximum amount of actions you can take is 6. Now, let's say that we include the Impel Stone, since that one grants you more actions. Even with that one, the maximum number of actions you can take is 9, which still isn't close to the 12 actions you need in order to fully buff. And that doesn't even factor in stuff like attacking or healing yourself. Since dealing with God's Breath the way it was intended is impossible, this means that my only option would be to deal enough damage to beat Satan before the 4th turn. And when you take into account this boss's insane resistances and HP stat, that is also not happening. And it's for all these reasons that soloing Satan is mathematically impossible. The only way we will ever be able to solo this boss is if someone finds a glitch or an exploit that allows us to hold more than 1 Impel Stone at a time. But until then, this will remain impossible. And you know what? That's fine. Some things in life are just impossible to do, and I'm okay with that. I'm still proud of this run because not only did I beat the entire game solo, but I also managed to defeat Seth, something that had never been uploaded on YouTube up until now. The Digital Devil Saga duology is easily one of the best experiences I've ever had in the Shin Megami Tensei series, and I hope you had as much fun watching these videos as I had making them. I have uploaded my full Seth solo on my 2nd channel, so feel free to watch that in order to understand the insanity that went into making it. I want to use this opportunity to thank all the persons who were involved in the making of these videos. From 3D artists to voice actors, you guys did a great job. I also want to thank all my beautiful members. Ever since I introduced my memberships, more than 50 of you guys have decided to become channel members. The amount of support I have received has been insane, and I cannot thank you guys enough for what you are doing. I am really grateful. If you are interested in becoming a member, you can click the join button next to my name to check what I have to offer. With that being said, this is going to be my last video of 2023. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see what 2024 will have in store for us.
Hey, my guy. Nice DDS1 solo run, but think you forgot something in the Citadel. Check the basement.
1 hour later.
So according to Robin, I believe it's supposed to be in this room.
Die.
Good luck.
Access denied. Access denied. Access denied. Access
Access denied. Access denied.